to you live from the Show Me State, birthplace of James Mercer, Langston Hughes. It's the Colbert Connection. Your hosts, Melody and Danica, are connecting you to the world through Facebook Live with today's topics, hot button, and creative conversation. I'm your announcer, Dr. Colbert, working hard for a free meal and a bottle of crushed grapes. And now, here's your host, the Colbert Connection, Melody Colbert King and Danica Colbert.
Hello everybody, it is Tuesday 6 o'clock and welcome to the Colbert Connection. I'm Melody Colbert King and you know this is...
I'm Danica Colbert.
And we are coming to you live. Thank you for joining us. We got a lot going on, we got a lot to talk about, and we got a lot of things to discuss. So we think that, first of all, we want to know, what y'all doing with all the coins? I need to know, because this coin shortage, I need to know what's really going on. Because I know at home, I got like a jar, one of those big old pickle jars, full of coins, all kinds of coins. But that doesn't suit the whole world. That doesn't do, like the whole United States. That's not enough to make a shortage for the whole United States.
I just have a few myself.
Okay.
A few of these jars.
Okay.
In random places that, I never intend to go and cash in. They're just taking up space.
That's it.
So if you want to pay me $1 on the quarter, we can talk.
Bam. I mean, everything is a business opportunity. You need to look at it that way. You need coins. I got them, but I got to make a little money on these coins. Make sense?
Sure. Makes sense.
Okay, well, hey. And the thing about it, there's people that aren't taking your cash payments anymore. What is that about?
I didn't even know that was possible. Last I checked, cash was a legal tender.
Legal. It says it. I don't even have $1.
Don't have
but
it.
Right there.
But we
on
still
it.
want to spend it when we do have some.
And it says that I can spend it. It's backed by the U.S. government, is it not?
Well,
they just printing paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what's going on. Well, the day that you don't take my cash is the day I can't pay your bill. That's the best I can say for you. I mean, I don't even understand. It's legal tender and we can't do it. So we're going to be getting more money.
That's
right.
What they tell me. Yes.
Supposed to
1,200,
be
1,000, depending on how much money you make. An extra 1,200 for the children this round.
You see there, they've unveiled the new plan, the second stimulus of $1,200, but who's going to get it this time?
Inquiring minds would like to know.
And I've heard that they want to take out the unemployment, the extra $600 that was on there, and do a balance of like a 70% of your salary or of your check.
That's a great idea.
You think it's a great idea?
Great idea.
Why?
Do you know, working in the recruiting field, how difficult it is right now to get anyone to apply for work? It is, they will tell you, call me after the 25th of July. And so I'm like, hey, it is past the 25th of July. Maybe we'll get some applicants.
Well, okay, I can understand that. I can understand that because there's a lot of people who set it down and says $600 is $600.
On top of the $330 whatever.
So
we're talking
getting paid more to sit at home.
$900 and some odd dollars.
I'm not mad.
And I know y'all ain't paying your taxes.
They coming for you next year. They coming for you. You better be on it. You better be on it. Student loans. That the deadline in September is going to be falling off for having those deferred.
Right. And the interest, I believe it went to zero. My understanding.
Well, I don't have a student loan anymore. Thank you, Lord. But
everybody,
you do.
Everybody ain't able, and it is taxing and taxing.
Well, I've been out forever, so you use shorter time.
Mine's about a long while as well. But yeah,
you gotta figure out what you're gonna do.
Well, and when I grow up, yes.
Do we ever grow up? That's what we want to know.
I'm gonna keep paying on my student loans. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. So tell me about Trump, number 45, wanting to lower the prices of some of the prescription drugs.
First, we probably should visit if anyone takes things like the EpiPen or
yes,
insulin,
and
or all of those high dollar,
super high dollars, for no reason, super high.
I mean, if you are diabetic and don't have a well-paying job or a support system that can assist you, you might as well hang it up.
Man, because
it's a bad deal.
Yeah.
Serious money.
As I know, somebody, the EpiPen, it was like $400 and something. I was like,
yeah.
Huh?
And that's one.
I mean, it's small price to save your life, but $400. Everybody don't have $400.
One use.
Yeah, it's you can inject it, and then you can inject it.
Be like, how bad is it?
Yeah. I'm gonna give you a little scratch. We're just gonna give you a scratch of it, and then we're gonna save the rest in case you have this again, just in case. Making sure.
Yes.
But so that's a good thing.
Yes,
he's doing, right?
I believe so, and I don't read fine print often.
Me either.
But I feel like we probably should do that.
Executive orders are just what they are, and it can change at his whim. But your question needs to be, who's the end beneficiary of it? I always say on everything, like I said last week and probably the week before that, follow the money trail. Follow the money trail.
That makes sense, though, because a lot of his friends are backing these companies, right? Where he had all these drugs where he was pushing for the coronavirus, right?
Right.
But if we're going to lower the price, so I don't know.
It remains to be seen. We want to find out. So we're how many days from the election?
97.
97 days, people, until it's time to go vote for a new leader of the free world. Are you registered, first of all?
Are you registered?
That's first of all.
We've talked about this for 8 weeks. So if you're not registered at this point,
I mean, it's not too late. It's too late for the August election coming up, but it's not too late for the November.
True.
So if you're not registered, please get registered so you can vote in the November election. And so we have Trump on one hand and Biden on the other hand. We have two old white men. And it is what it is.
It's what it is.
We had a slew of Democratic hopefuls that we watched slowly just drop out, just fall off for whatever reason.
Yes.
And now we have two old white men looking to run our country again.
So what say you? Let's talk about it.
I sure wish we could get some youth input on that. Some of the younger people.
But I was a Bernie fan.
Yes, you were.
And I was a Bernie fan because, like we were talking earlier, I owe student loans. Yeah. And Bernie was talking
said,
to me.
Do away with them.
Yes, he was just talking directly to me. I'm like, I don't watch a lot of news, but Bernie, you are preaching. So that's where I was.
It's always vote your pocketbook, right?
Vote it. Vote your
pocketbook.
If you want to have one.
Yes. So this is who we have, and we presume that Pence will be Trump's running person again, and who are we looking for Biden? Who's in the runner? Who's in the running?
Melody Colbert Keene was my vote. But
man. Moving on. We do have, and I give you my opinion. I think Susan Rice is going to be his. I think she's an excellent choice, and if you don't know about her, do some research on her. Sharp. She's a very sharp sister. Very sharp. Okay. I mean, we still have Harris. We still have Warren. Well, no, I think she said she wasn't going to do it, right?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, so yeah, we need to figure out Biden. If you're watching this, we need to know who's going to be your running mate. Because, it's getting down to the wire and we want to know.
Yeah. Cheryl says, and Bernie is old also. Yeah, Bernie was
old.
However, but Bernie he was talking to my heart.
Yeah. That's all I can see is student loans.
I know I owe this, okay?
Yeah.
But Bernie.
It's just different issues that are going to affect other people. And so you need to focus on what each one of them's talking about, because it may affect your pocket and it may affect your household. And if you don't vote, then hey, I'm gonna need you to clamp it down. I'm gonna need you to just clamp it down. Don't need to hear it. So but election that's coming up, and need y'all to get on that. Now we still have Corona.
Yes, we do.
Is it gonna be like Ebola?
Yeah, that came and went. What else?
Come election time is gone.
I have a feeling.
I'm just asking. Inquiring minds want to know.
I mean, we do have a lot of places working on a vaccine. I'm not saying I'm going to take it, but I'm just saying.
Y'all chime in. How many of y'all are planning on taking that vaccine when it gets?
I'm gonna wait until it comes out like Tylenol. You got flu and cold. I want flu and corona. That's what I'm gonna wait for.
It's just. I mean, it's too new. There's test people that they're testing it on now, and they're like, "Hey, yes, sign us up," and that's all fine and good. It's all about choices, what you want to do. But yeah, it's out there. But
they pay the people that test incredible amounts of money.
Yes.
But
if you die, what good is it?
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day, and I'm like, well, remember Tuskegee? Where they tested whatever the drug was, and all those men ended up with syphilis.
Yeah, because that wasn't a test of no drug. That was a test of, let's see how y'all react with syphilis. Yeah, but there's no such thing as unfair treatment and that kind of thing.
That's another day.
Okay. All right. Just saying. But before we go any further, we do need to remember Congressman John Lewis that passed on the 17th of this month. That man was a civil rights hero, icon, whatever you want to call him. Yes, that's exactly what he was. And I actually had the fortune of meeting him, my husband and I, and the little one, and Alyssa, and got pictures with him. I started to post that picture, but Alyssa would have probably killed me because she was like really young and like her hair was everywhere.
You should put it up anyway.
Yeah, but that's something to hold on to, the memories, because he was a great man. I mean, he did a lot for the civil rights movement. He did a lot.
That's awesome. I know they've been doing a processional, and
yes,
I've caught bits and pieces of it, but they went over the bridge and just lots of different things.
Yeah,
and it's been really cool to listen and see and hear the people talk about it.
Yeah, and now he's in the Congress House, what is the Capitol? I'm like, what? Yeah, I know what it's called.
Congress House.
Yeah, well, same thing. He's there lying in state for people to come and visit, and I mean, I guess pay respects. Guess you're not really visiting.
Well, no. I would hope not.
What do you call it? It's just like
pay your respects.
Calling something devastating an anniversary.
Yeah.
It's a memorial. It's a memorial. You're remembering. It's not, anniversaries are happy occasions.
Right.
This is not.
No.
So anyway, John Lewis, and like I said, paying respects for him, and the other civil rights gentleman, CT, I forget his name. I got it written down somewhere, but it's not with me right now. But we're paying respects to him too. Regis Philbin passed also.
Yes, and that's gotten a lot of.
Yeah, I used to watch him.
Yeah, I mean, on Regis and Kelly, right?
Yeah, Kathy Lee.
And Kathy Lee,
Yeah, before Kelly. No, but anyway, we die.
Jesus. Lisa Colbert, who I don't know, she's a Colbert
we
too.
don't know her, but yeah.
But she says, should the Edmund Bridge be renamed after him? That's kind of cool.
Yes, I think so. And I actually had a chance to walk across that bridge, and very iconic. That was where a lot of momentum and a lot of devastation was done also, because that was one of the most violent responses to the civil rights movement. I mean, you had police beating and hosing down and sicking dogs on people who are just locked arm in arm walking for a peacefulness across the bridge to bring awareness to the equal rights struggle, the civil rights struggle.
How long ago was that?
Man, it wasn't that long ago. 60 years, if that, yeah.
It's just interesting, 60 years ago. And
60.
We're still battling some of the same injustices. So I know they mentioned on one of the news that I was watching about how he was with Martin Luther King and,
right.
Along that line.
Right.
So you just wonder with his children or ancestors or whoever in his, I don't know if he has any kids, but in that event, if we'll still be fighting, when he's got great-grandchildren and things of that nature. You would hope not. You would hope we've made some progress at some point, but
our great-grandmothers were, and we're still
fighting.
It's like I said before, it's hidden now. It's not as in your face blatant. Some is.
Right.
But yeah, it's still a struggle. I don't get it. But it is what it is, I guess. So we keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've been making baby steps, I feel.
Yes.
So if you notice lately as you watch TV, especially sports, there's a lot of Black Lives Matter. Right?
Yes.
So WNBA, I caught, and it looks, watching it right now because of social distancing and you can't have crowd, it looks like a scrimmage to me. A high school scrimmage is what it looks like.
There's no fans cheering, you don't hear any commentary.
Nothing.
It's like, what?
And the way they have the bleachers set is social distance. But I'm like, y'all been practicing in your bubble, so y'all should be able to sit in the line, right?
Should be okay.
But neither here nor there. But along the sidelines, they have Black Lives Matter. On their shirts, they're wearing Black Lives Matter. The MLB, they took a knee. Black Lives Matter shirts as well. Also, of course, we've talked about many times, NASCAR.
Yes. So,
everywhere, everything.
So what you're saying is sports world is embracing the movement or embracing the equality or embracing the Band-Aid movement? Which one?
But we don't know.
Because you're right.
We don't know.
Time will tell. Time will tell.
Because we missed it the first time. Right?
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why.
Yeah, we missed it.
Because
it was a army of one.
Yeah.
So now...
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, we did. But now it's like everybody's on the boat. 3 years later? How many years? I don't know. But now we're on the boat, and the whole, like I say, the first thing was the Cardinals Royals. I don't remember who it was.
So you got coaches, players, everybody that's doing it now.
Took a knee, and some people were utterly disgusted,
just livid.
Now the WNBA players, and I think it was the Sparks, and I can't remember the other team. However, they walked off the court, and I'm like, oh. Somebody's gonna have a problem with that because isn't that worse than taking a knee? I don't know, but to me, I'm like, well, that would be disrespectful. You would think.
Because that's like turning your back to see ya. Yeah.
But then as I'm digging around, you know what I do when I have time, digging around, and you're looking at like the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem, and it's like, but we aren't doing any of those things.
Right.
Home of the free, land of the, all those things.
Yeah. Well, and you got to see who's backing all that too. The sponsors, those people, the owners, those people who are putting that money in, and if that money is not coming in, they're going to change. Just like we talked about the name changes on the food brands, on different things that are going on. Your dollars speak, people. If you think your dollars don't make any difference, they do. You have the right to withhold those dollars if you don't feel something is being done or if you feel that something's being done that's degrading you or not treating you how you think you should be with respect.
Right.
And so, yeah.
But why does it always come down to the dollar? Don't I matter just because you offended
the world.
But you know what I'm saying? Doesn't it matter that because something you did offended me and my whole culture, my everything?
Nope.
That doesn't even matter.
Get over your feelings. Feelings were made to be hurt.
That's so sad.
I mean, that's
because to me it's like if you just changed it because I took my dollar from you, then you might as well kept it. That's like apologizing and you're not really sorry. And sorry,
man,
I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings, but I'm not really sorry about what I did.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm sorry you caught me in my and now it's worldwide, and now oh my gosh, I need to apologize because it's affecting my dollars.
Because they spend money. This whole group of people spend money.
Yeah, it keeps going back to the dollars. That's the control, is the dollars. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, that's the control. And so, it's always the follow the money. It's always who's backing what.
Absolutely.
So.
Anastasia, and I hope I said that right, says athletes and others are using their platforms. And I have always been a huge supporter about that. And when 3 years ago we had that one man standing by himself, kneeling by himself. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's his platform. Yeah. That's the whole purpose of using your platform. Like preachers use their platform when they stand up on Sunday, right? Yeah. So if you don't use the platform you're given, well, what do you even have platform
What's
for?
It for? I mean, they call them platforms, bully pulpits, my stage, my whatever you call it. If you are if you're in a position to do that, then you should use that for the good.
For the good. Or whatever. I mean, you do you. Yeah. But I would hope you use your platform for the good.
If you see an injustice, then you should use that to make an awareness of that injustice.
So there's that saying, stand up even if you're standing alone, right?
Man.
And I think today's guest kind of started something here in
Bless
Joplin.
him.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes someone to make a big, bold move.
Yes.
For people to have awareness, or even just to open their eyes. Not that you didn't realize.
Yeah.
But maybe it was just like it didn't offend you or it didn't affect you in yours, so
yeah.
Whatever.
But they can bring it to you in such a shock value that it just, you're like, whoa, what? You know, and that's, yeah. I think it's and it really is not that it's a shock value. It's just like you said, an awareness, but it's dropped in your lap.
Absolutely. So you have to do something with it.
Yeah.
Like, you can choose now not to hear it, but it's right here in your lap.
I put the information out there. What are you going to do with it?
Absolutely.
I mean, and that's what our guest and, you know, Toby Teeter is he's a guy that makes things happen. He's about, you know, growth. He's about moving communities forward. He's about just advancement. And if we don't develop in these areas and if we don't grow, you're staying stagnant, right?
Absolutely.
And what good is a city, a business, a person if you stay stagnant?
That's a great question.
I
think we should ask Toby Teeter.
I mean, he'll be the one to know because I have my viewpoints as a business owner and that kind of thing, and as a community leader and former mayor and all that. And I've been through some hell at some times. But you know, hey, you sign up for that when you are an elected official. But yeah, when you're hired into a position and you take a bold stance, yeah. So Toby Teeter is our guest today, and he's going to talk with us. Welcome, Toby.
Glad to be here. I think.
Yeah, you never know what's going to be going on with the Colberts. You never know. But the position that you're in as president of the Joplin Chamber of Commerce, just give us a little bit of intro on that, on the things that you do and how you came into that position.
So I'm a non-traditional chamber president.
Yes.
So I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So my story is really simple. I grew up here. I left here. I'm from a tech background, and when I grew up in Carl Junction, Missouri, I just didn't feel like I belonged. Mm-hmm. I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something exciting and bold, and I felt like this community, you kind of decide your path really early on.
Yeah.
You become a cop, a teacher, a nurse, dental hygienist,
Yes.
And I didn't fit one of those buckets.
Yeah.
And so I went off to college. I actually went to law school and practiced law briefly. And then in the late 90s, the internet happened. I taught myself code, and
who does that?
I developed a network of online city guides. So it's kind of a precursor to Craigslist. And I grew a team, and fast forward a few years, I found myself in Kansas City, and we had an internet company doing about $24 million a year. We had 12 people in a room, and we merged with another company and went public in 2006. And that's when we had our first child,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided to move back home and see if I can do it here.
Okay.
So when I moved back here in 2006, my goal was simply I wanted to build the community I want to live in,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to be able to attract tech talent, software engineers to Joplin.
Okay.
And so that was like a challenge, is to come here. So when I moved back here, I did what I thought everyone does. I bought a loft downtown. And at the time, most of the downtown was boarded up.
Yes.
Only 15 years ago, downtown was boarded up, and you know there was a jewelry store, then there was 609,
Yeah.
and a couple secondhand shops.
Yeah.
That's about it. So I joined the Main Street Joplin board.
Uh-huh.
The very first board meeting was they're voting to disband their organization because there's no longer the meter maid
Yep.
in town. And I raised my hand. I'm like, well, let's. How about we reposition this organization to affect change and show people that you can live, work, and play in downtown. And it was the beginnings of the Downtown Joplin Alliance,
Yeah.
the DJA. And we started the third Thursdays, and we use that really as for the first time people to stop downtown and go into these buildings that they'd always passed.
Instead of just driving straight through.
That's right. So we started redevelopment efforts. And before long, we started encouraging investors, including myself, and we started rehabbing buildings, getting some businesses, some restaurants in, and today it came what it came today. And then I did the Griffin building.
Yes.
I was the silent majority owner of that project. And I sold that to Dr. Joseph when we finished.
That was remarkable, by the way, because that was hideous.
Well,
I mean,
there's 24 businesses there now in our urban core.
Yeah.
We've actually recruited businesses to our market using that building, so it's very successful.
Yeah.
And then started some more things, and then I got, more recently, in the last 5 years, I got involved in e-commerce. I really learned that we can really leverage our low cost of living and our distribution network to be kind of an e-commerce powerhouse. It turns out there's actually a lot of hidden e-commerce. There's companies doing tens of millions of dollars behiund the curtain.
In Joplin?
In this area, in Yosho, in Joplin, yes.
So in our region, okay.
In our region.
Okay.
And then about 2 years ago, there was a retirement of a chamber president, and they did a national search looking for the next chamber president. And I simply sent an email to the search committee, and I really thought that what they should be looking for is the chamber should be basically an avenue to transition from a manufacturing base and join the 21st century and knowledge-based workforce.
Okay.
And really, the shift is to continue to do business attraction efforts, but growing more and more. Economic development is about talent, attraction, and retention.
Yes.
It's a battle between communities for brains. Whoever collects the most brains wins.
Yeah.
And you got to create a culture of innovation. And it takes a certain composition of things to create a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation.
I like that.
And so we're trying to attract the industries of tomorrow here and the people that'll make it happen.
So a culture, it takes developing that culture, getting it here, and then just fostering the growth with it.
That's great.
And that, and to your knowledge, even since you've been back, has that been something that you've seen in this area?
Yeah, there's been huge strides.
Okay.
Besides the urban core coming back, there's kind of the hipster effect. There's a lot of 20 and 30 somethings that actually moved away, and then they're coming back here, and there's tons of energy, and they're dropping things like Bruncheonette and Bearded Lady, and then all kinds of livability. Bookhouse up the road.
Yeah.
And again, these are people who are bolting on livability, and what we're seeing now is people under 40 choose where they want to live, and then they figure out how to make money. And people older than me went to a job, went to a community for the job, and they figured out how to live. And so the shift is economic development is about livability. And that is the honey that attracts the talent. And the talent creates the jobs and creates the growth of tomorrow.
That is so, him saying that is because even our parents were, I got to get a job, get it for 30 years, retire, get my pension, and that was the focus. And that's for years is what happened, and it was seen as a bad thing to have 6 or 7 jobs on your resume. It was, well, they're not stable. That's not stable, and that's what it was seen as. And now it's like, hell, it's a requirement to have at least 10 on there, because otherwise it's like, yeah, you're antiquated. We don't need you. And so, wow, that's kind of interesting. The shift.
Yeah, the shift.
Yeah, and was it a gradual shift, you think, or did you see it as a?
It's a generational shift, but there are simply winners and losers between communities. There's communities that are growing and thriving, and they're starting to identify with certain things. Millennials and Generation Z are flocking to communities that value diversity and inclusion, trails and connectivity, health and wellness amenities, and things to do, what we call cultural enterprises. And so, people that grow up here are leaving this town looking for those things.
Leaving the town.
Absolutely.
Leaving.
We have to, because we didn't have those things.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Because I moved away.
Yeah.
And I didn't really necessarily want to, but it was Missouri Southern, and then where you go. There's nothing here at that
It's
point.
like we're training somebody else's workforce.
Absolutely.
That's what we were doing. And so you're bringing that, stay home, build your work for the tech and all that.
Build the community you want to live in.
Build the community you want to live in.
Makes sense.
Sounds pretty simple to me. So what are some highs and lows that you see with that, or some pushback, just...
Sure.
with that?
The first 3 months, I've been doing this since December 2018.
Okay.
So I took over the chamber in about 20 months ago.
Okay.
I spent the first 3 months simply meeting with the community. So I met with nonprofits, startups, restaurants, the health systems, advanced manufacturers, and over again in school districts, and over and over again, the themes of talent, attraction, retention. The biggest prohibitor of growth, or the biggest prohibitor of that nonprofit achieving their goals, is talent, attraction, retention. That means everything from nurses and physicians to teachers to entry-level jobs at advanced manufacturing centers. Again, the same themes over again is talent, attraction, retention, our ability to build our workforce.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we fix that? I mean, that's the magic. I gotta ask that.
That's what he's working on.
What's the fix?
So the chamber, straight up, we decided our role as a community, our strategic plan is we do 4 things. We serve the business community.
Okay.
All right. We are here to improve livability.
Okay.
3, attract both talent and new industry to our community. Okay. And 4, build community leaders. And so we're really well positioned to work in a collaborative effort with the rest of the community to actually solve those problems. So how we serve our community is we actually build obviously networking events to connect. Yeah. But we also started Chamber Academy, which is an online platform for business education. It's the ability for chamber members to actually log in and actually view content having to do with solving problems, whether it be leadership, marketing, HR, finance, and so on. We have a health insurance program where small businesses from 2 to 50 employers can join the chamber and actually join the co-op and get really, really effective Anthem health insurance.
I must be missing something. I need to utilize my membership a little more and dig a little deeper.
We have mentorship programs for everything from startups to young professionals that want to be mentored by professionals, and several other programs. And then livability. What we did is we took our young professional network, our under 40 young professionals, and we had them lead 6 work groups. And these work groups are about livability. So they basically self-organize, and again, it's back to building the community you want to live in. And they identify these issues. So equity, diversity, and inclusion is a work group.
Top of the list.
Trails and connectivity, health and wellness, cultural enterprise recruitment. What that means is we're actually instigating, either creating or recruiting the businesses that add to livability. Those missing pieces that we go to Springfield, Bentonville, or Tulsa to go enjoy. We're trying to create that and bring it here.
I like that. I'm tired of driving.
Absolutely. Professional development's another work group, but again, these under 40s are leading chamber efforts to add to livability. So anyone in the chamber can basically get involved and actually build the community they want to live in. So we're using the chamber as a vessel to improve livability. Our leadership programs include Leadership Joplin, which is famous. It's been around since the early 80s. I think it has 600 or so alumni of that
would be
program.
Me.
Yep,
I'm one.
Absolutely. And then we have Turtles Leaders Today, which is a high school senior program. And again, that is to give the best and brightest of our community a chance to understand how this community works and really encourage them, no matter where they go to college, to come back home and bring those tools back home. And again, build the community you want to live in.
I like that.
And we also have a Young Professionals Network. And then also we do old school economic development, very, very strategic. We're working on focusing on building the brand for Joplin for both business and talent attraction.
We need that in Joplin because a lot of people say, so what's there to do in Joplin, or what's Joplin about, that kind of thing. So you guys are creating a destination, or
so
or at least what we're known for?
It's separate from tourism. What we're talking about for business and talent attraction. What is Joplin? What makes us different?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of all eyes on Northwest Arkansas. We aren't Bentonville, and we don't want to be Bentonville. What makes Joplin special is there's a certain patina to this town. There's grit. You see it in our downtown. You see it in our people. We've been through common experiences together. So it's the people that makes it different. And we want to play that up. So if you had a 2-minute sizzle reel about what makes Joplin special, you're showing the tattooed guy at the bar, and you're showing all this really earthy arts and culture, all this left brain, right brain stuff, and you see like this collaborative of really interesting people doing, basically following the passion. Well, how we explained our low cost of living is not that everything's cheap.
Yes.
It's a $4 beer and a $3
So glad
coffee.
we get out of that.
No, you have the freedom to follow your passion.
The freedom to follow your passion.
So come to Joplin and give a supportive community of doers and dreamers who belong to live your purpose.
I love that.
Yep.
I love that. And live your purpose. So, I mean, live in purpose. We are living in Joplin, and Joplin being Joplin for as long as Joplin has been Joplin. You have to take like some stances on some things.
Sure.
And be active and be vocal and be a leader and on some instances and situations that may or may not be popular.
Sure.
And I say that to say, redirect. You had a letter to the community that came out and put a lot of people in up in arms. And I highlighted a little piece on here just so people can see, so our viewers can see that. But I get it. Being a person of color, I get it. I get it, and I've lived a lot of that kind of thing. And I hear people who say, well, I've never seen racism, or I've never seen, well, yeah, because, but I live it 24/7, 365, And so when I see a letter like this go out from, first of all, from a white person, second of all, from a city leader, I'm proud. I'm like, yes, this is something that is long overdue in our view.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so in today's climate, what prompted you? What went through your mind when you penned the letter to the community?
You bet. So again, we're here for talent attraction and retention.
Okay.
So let's put that in the framework. In the context of what I went through over the last 18 months as chamber president, it's the most natural letter ever. We're talking about a community that's in transition.
Mm-hmm.
We're realizing that we are actively repelling people that don't think like us, look like us, love like us, vote like us. And it's actually retarding our growth as a community, just straight up. It's affecting our workforce and our ability to attract and retain our workforce. So one of the reasons why we have stagnant growth in this community is simply we're telling people they don't belong. And now we're saying Joplin is where you belong.
Just a shift.
Yeah. So the conversations we're having is the struggles of our health systems attracting nurses from the programs, and over again we see race come into play. We're working on. I've been involved with attraction and retention of black physicians and nurses in this community, and so part of my role is I take the spouse to Hackett's, I have a beer, and I tell them that this town is forward thinking, and things are changing, but at the same time, I've had success attracting and bringing black professionals into this community, whether it be faculty, students, physicians, or executives. And I expose them to trauma. They've had some negative experiences here. I feel partially responsible for that. And the reality is what we're talking about is systemic racism.
Yes.
And we got to explain what that means. And we're also going to talk about white fragility.
Yeah. There's no such thing.
What that means.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So,
tell us more.
Yeah. Elaborate on that.
So systemic racism is when and most often it's happening and without you even realizing it.
Right.
It's sort of like passive form of racism. It's when you are involved in a system or an organization where just inadvertently usually there is you're creating a separation of outcomes based on race in this instance. And that bias is causing a disparity in outcomes. And you see that everything from healthcare to police, to court systems, to employment, to education. Yeah. And I'm not just calling out Joplin. This is now a national conversation.
Absolutely.
And so I saw this because I've been seeing this on a daily basis in my work and then in the EDI work group. Where no one in this community spoke out. Remember, there was a period in early June when this really blew up.
Yes.
And it was a national conversation.
Yes.
And one by one, there's national brands that said, you know what? There is racism. But step one is acknowledge that systemic racism exists. I'm part of the problem just by being not actively anti-racist. And let's use this as an opportunity to improve. And so when it was my turn, I didn't think it was a very bold letter. I thought, there's systemic racism here. My institution is part of the problem, and I have to say that before I start calling out other institutions. And now, how do we solve it? How do we change, and how do we actually identify with purpose diversity and inclusion as part of the Joplin brand and change its town?
Wow. I love that you said that because as I read the letter, and I read it a couple times, and I'm like, wow.
10, 12 times.
I really did, because I'm one of those people that have to like internalize some of this, and I'm like, that was a big, bold move for someone to make on his platform.
On his platform, right.
And you used it in such a way that you challenged others. Right. So in your letter, you said, I'm going to challenge the police, the municipalities, the schools, and so on and so forth. Sure. What have you seen so far? And I know that was just July, 10th?
Yeah.
I know it's
not long ago.
But I mean, but you put it out there, so I would be like, challenge accepted. I'm going to do something today.
So we went to work. We have about 26 people active in our work group. We have an equity, diversity, inclusion. Some of the things that I've seen just within my organization, we'll start there. One, we have Leadership Joplin.
Yes.
Leadership Joplin is a class of about 35 students a year. We're talking about how Leadership Joplin works is our largest employers submit their young professionals. They pick people that they think could rise through the ranks, and we want to develop those men and women as young professionals in the community and give them more tools. Right. So this is a leadership program that has been used in this community for 35 years now. Right. I audited the program last December, and over the last 5 years, we've had 2 people of color go through the program. It's around 98% white. Just so people understand at home how fast this town is changing. Okay, take Jasper plus Newton County. That's technically the Joplin metropolitan area, statistically speaking. We are currently 83% white, so we're 17% of color. That is, it's like much, but it's changing fast. It's actually the of color numbers doubled in the last 15 years. Wow. Okay, and so we're a community changing drastically. In the last 5 years, there's been a net gain of 4,000 population in those 2 counties. A net gain of
never knew that.
Net gain of 400 white. Net gain of 3,600 non-white. That's how fast this community is changing. Now you take the nation. The nation is changing. When you're trying to bring people to this community, you're trying to bring people that are more used to diversity.
Right.
And so, and then let's talk about our talent pipeline. Here in Joplin, the public school system, K through 12, 25% of the student population is of color. Wow. Over 25% of Missouri Southern students is of color.
Wow.
Nearly half of the med students at KCU is of color.
Yeah.
This is our talent pipeline. So as a systems, when you will grow up K through 12 and you don't have a teacher that looks like you,
man,
what are you passively telling? You're constantly, everything's a message.
Yeah.
Everything's a message. If you grow up here of color and you don't have a teacher or anyone that doesn't look like you, are you telling them they belong?
No. Nope. or that they can achieve that, or that they can even be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, even,
Right.
Yeah.
And over again, we're seeing, especially in Missouri Southern, in these conversations, is we have students of color coming here to go to college, and they leave.
And they're gone.
Or they grew up here and they go to college and they leave. Disproportionately so. People who don't feel like they belong, whether it be color or sexual orientation, they leave. So some of the bold steps we've taken in the last 18 months is we sponsored Pride Fest. We put down a 10 by 10 tent and we shook hands with 2,000 people at Pride Fest and let them know that the community, the business community has a place here, and the Pride community have a home in this community.
So we're letting people know that they have a place. It doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter your orientation, any of that.
Right.
You have a place here in Joplin.
Absolutely.
I like that.
In surrounding communities that we're competing with, these aren't bold claims.
Right. Yeah. they're just in there.
This is just a pretty quick change. And then the letter came out. So your question was how things have shook out in the last 6 weeks. Let's talk about that. It started a lot of conversations. There has been this is beyond the chamber, but there is a number of Black-led community organizations and Facebook groups, and the chamber and the EDI work group within the chamber have been working together in a collaborative effort to start conversations. Some of the things that have happened is there's been a declaration. The first act of our new mayor, our very first act, was to declare that Joplin is now a diverse community, inclusive community, and listed out the disenfranchised groups beyond race, including orientation and gender identity, all these really bold claims.
Yeah, and that is a proclamation.
That's a proclamation. We did a unity walk where people from across the community, including the police department and city leaders, endorsed. There's been active communications with our chief of police, who actually has been very responsive in recent weeks. He's listening, and he's listening, and he's listening. And he is open to basically a lot of the systems, a lot of the policies, to go public with those and allow the Black community to review them and give input. That these are the next steps to build trust.
Right. And that's what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it takes.
And we've had really interesting conversations in EDI work. I'm new to this space, and I don't claim to be an expert. But when I hear professionals and people, anyone, I don't want to discount anyone's voice, say, Toby, you understand, I've got to, and this is new to me, I've got to explain to my teenage son how to get arrested without getting shot.
It's crazy.
Or every time I turn the ignition and I drive across town, it's a conscious thing about, okay, here we go, can I make it?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, our economic development is really relying on the investment of Missouri Southern, the investment of KCU.
Right.
And we're talking about our ability to attract and retain these brilliant minds from around the world in our community. And a couple other things have happened in recent weeks. KCU responded by hosting a Zoom call where city leaders, including the chief of police, were on a Zoom call where Black med students told their story. And we're talking about people from around the United States coming here, only been here for a year or two. And they were explaining, my first instance with Joplin PD, my second instance with Joplin PD, and it was unfortunate incidences over and over again, but it's a kind of a awakening happening across our community that until we understand that there is a problem, we can't get over it. And sometimes it takes a bold statement to start the conversation.
True.
The school district's rethinking things. I mean, how do we recruit Black teachers?
Right.
How do we recruit Hispanic teachers?
Right.
And we're talking about things where we're changing actually we're talking about juicing it, quite frankly, where the business community funds, whether it be a bonus system or whether it be overt recruitment into black colleges, traditional black colleges, and actually import and bring in. But then we have the same issue. So then you're bringing in black professionals. How you get them to stay here?
Yeah.
How do you build the trust?
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing talent attraction efforts, really critical questions are being asked about how safe is it here for my family. And so over and over again, race comes up, having to do with talent attraction and retention. It's a very pragmatic point of view. Yes, it's the right thing to do to be anti-racist, but I am the chamber president, and how I connect the dots with the business community is I can educate those of power.
Yes,
That's
the key.
It's in their best interest to say you belong in Joplin and make that an authentic part of our brand.
Because, go ahead.
So, being that you're from Carl Junction, I'm going to rewind you a little bit.
Yeah.
But very forward thinking from you, from someone out of Carl Junction, small Carl Junction, especially when it comes to people of color, because there's not many in Carl Junction. Right. In fact, when my brother moved there, my mom was like, "You be very careful when you move over to Carl Junction." So, at what point in your world did you have this moment where you're like, "Hey, there are some injustices," and you had the gall to write what you wrote? Where did that happen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Love the honesty.
I've actually had that question all the time about what was the pivot, what was the change. Again, in a very narrow view, I've always identified with innovation and entrepreneurship, and I realized that there's always a correlation. Everywhere I lived where there's entrepreneurship and innovation, there's diversity.
Yes.
In arts and culture.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of, like, the business community funds arts and culture. In my mind, arts and culture fuels innovation, business innovation.
Yes.
And also there's a correlation where you bring people from different backgrounds, different life experiences, and you put them in the executive suite or in the conference room, your business, your products get better, your processes get better.
Yeah.
And now, again, going back to our community, as 1 in 5 is of color, now it's good business to have your teller reflect the community it lives in, and your teachers and your nurses. Anybody that touches the public should reflect the community you serve. It's an economic advantage. So now all of a sudden at our EDI meetings, we have executives, we have bank presidents that are taking notes. It's engagement. Wow. That's the shift. Just in the last 6 weeks, the school districts have noticed. The new Missouri Southern president is all in.
Which is going to be a guest on here.
He gets it. He gets it. He sees the issues here. Yeah. He's seen it in past communities involved in. And he realizes it's a competitive advantage as a university to add diversity at faculty, staff, and coaching. And then again, one thing that we've been working with Missouri Southern is how do we create a better pipeline? How do we create internships and really opportunity where students of color that come to our community to go to Missouri Southern, how do we actually literally integrate them into our economy?
Yeah.
How do we expose them to opportunity? Now, admittedly, most students of color that come from Kansas City, St. Louis, whatever, they don't anticipate staying here, right?
Yeah.
But how do you get them to come in and actually introduce them to opportunities? We really want to do a lot of work study programs and overtly include students of color into our community and expose them to opportunity and think, you know what, I can live here. Yeah. And actually open that talent pipeline. Because again, for business reasons even, it's the right thing to do. And if you have people from different backgrounds, different ethnicities, and different worldviews, your processes are better, your products are better, your school district's better, your health system is better, your bank is better.
Well, because, and the thing too, if I was relocating somewhere, I don't want to go somewhere where I don't see myself. Or I don't see, and not saying exclusively myself, but I don't want to go somewhere where that's all I see is different than me. You know, and in every aspect that you just mentioned, in education, in hell, grocery store, you know, shopping, just everything is different, and I have to seek out, where do I go find, you know, and I've had the corporations around here bring the spouses to me to eat, you know, and it's like, okay, I'm going to start charging for that. So that's become a service, you know, but it's like, why wouldn't that cross your mind to have that be a norm? You know what I mean? Because you're not the only one in existence here. So why wouldn't you think it would be normal to have different races, different ethnicities, and just differences in the offering?
Absolutely. Well, the next step with equity, diversity, inclusion efforts is to bake it into everything.
I love it.
It's not its own thing. It's not over here. It's not a group that meets on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
It is how you put it in everything. You're always messaging.
Always.
So the chamber, you go to job1cc.com, you look at the team page, you see our headshots. You see 14 employees, all white. And when we have a job opening, guess what happens? We have 40 applicants, they're all white.
Every one of them.
So so let's talk about some of the fragility.
Yeah.
Some of the responses of Toby, the chamber's not racist. Or Toby, any black business can join.
Yep.
Toby, any black person can apply for that job, but they don't.
Yeah.
They don't feel included.
No, I got it.
But 98% of our chamber membership until recently, and we'll get to that, is white-owned businesses and organizations, and we've struggled until recently to actually even get black applications when we have job openings because this community's got to understand you're always messaging. If you're not actively anti-racist, you're part of a systemic system that encourages racism and creates bias and outcomes disparities.
And that's what people don't see.
Right. I know in a couple of the jobs that I've held, they've always offered, join the chamber.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? You know, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk to the older white community about? And a lot of the times you sit in those rooms and it's like you're not even there. And you're giving vital information, good stuff. But then Jim over here says the same thing, and it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things where you're like, why waste my time?
Right.
And so I definitely get it, but from the other side, it's like, until someone like you comes and changes the mentality and the people sitting in that room, some people just aren't going to, you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen for some people. And unfortunately, some of those people stuck in that way.
Yeah.
But we're getting some color in the chamber now. Yeah. we've had 12 black-owned businesses join the chamber just in the last few weeks.
All right. And that's and even with that, there was an outreach effort to have it to happen.
Absolutely.
But
it's simply
there was an outreach effort.
You belong.
Yeah.
We said it.
Yeah.
And it was the most fun part of all this is they're not just joining the chamber, they're getting active, they want to build a community to live in.
See?
One recent city council meeting where I didn't feel super excited about this town, and then the next morning I was going into an e-commerce meetup, and I walked in and it blew my mind. At least half of the room was of color, and they're all there with notepads and they're excited to learn about e-commerce, about selling products on Amazon, Etsy, eBay, learning about Shopify accounts, and those are the kind of things that are happening now. We're doing some new programs we're really excited about. I want to talk about real quick. We're doing Ideas on Tap.
Okay.
It is basically, as COVID starts dropping off, we're going to open this program in the fall where once a week we're going to go to a microbrewery and there's several now in our region.
We're in.
Yeah, and it's literally it's a cross between business, startups, tech, online marketing, all those kind of brains coming together and just interacting.
Okay.
We're talking about new ideas. It might be a situation where it's like, hey, let's talk about a new startup idea you have, Melody, and we'll also meet you there. And the idea is to just bring energy. So we might be all just talking about our own projects.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff I miss from living in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Because that was the scene. You would go and you would see that and feel it. Yeah.
But you're working on making us that progressive like that.
And then we had Network After Dark. You ever?
Yeah,
I loved that when I was there. Which I was like, I don't get out much, but I was like, hey, it was a good time.
Speaking of Kansas City, we're launching 1 million cups here soon. It's been on hold because of COVID. 1 million cups is the morning version of that. It's coffee and conversation about entrepreneurship. Two entrepreneurs present. It's not a pitch. It's not an ask for money. It's actually a presentation of a problem. Like, I am stuck.
Yes.
It could be a business that's still on paper and just an idea, or it could be somebody that's 2 years in. But the idea is to bring the entrepreneurial community together, have coffee, and work through the problem together.
I like that.
And it's overtly inclusive.
Mentorship.
This is a Kauffman Foundation initiative.
So it's got funding.
It has funding, and there's 180 communities that have 1 million cups chapters, and Joplin is next up. And so we're launching ours. It's going to be at the Joplin Library. Again, it's at a neutral site. This is not a chamber thing. The whole point is to be overtly inclusive.
I like it.
And make sure anybody, and it's free. And so anybody can walk in,
Free.
and join your entrepreneurial community.
Love it.
Absolutely.
I like that.
So how do we connect in these things? I know you mentioned that program wasn't part of the chamber.
Yep.
Where do we go? Because some of these things.
If you want to learn more about the chamber, go to joplincc.com. You can see exactly what we do. You can join the chamber at joplincc.com. I have an open door. You can literally walk into the chamber and ask for Toby, and if I'm around, I'll bring you right back to my office and we'll talk shop. And I don't care if you have a lawnmower repair business or you have the next $1 billion idea. I love business. It's a game to me.
Yes.
I love it. I love business. I love Joplin, and I want to share it.
I like that.
Yep.
That's a good.
I'm impressed.
You like
This
the
was my first time
challenge.
getting to sit and talk with Toby. I've seen,
Yeah.
and in the letter, and I was just like, I'm excited to have a conversation.
The
So,
man,
thank you.
He's
Thank you
got a
for
lot of
coming.
ideas. Got a
Yeah.
lot of ideas, and you heard it from him. Go to joplincc.com.
JoplinCC.com.
JoplinCC.com
And choosejoplin.com.
and choosejoplin.com, and that's a hashtag also. Choose Joplin.
That's right.
Choose Joplin is on Instagram. But go there and see how you can get plugged in and get engaged in your community. Don't let something keep you from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we're going to attend some stuff.
Hey, I'm ready.
We're ready.
The idea's on tap. I'm not
Let's do
a
that.
super beer drinker, but I'm sure they got something
I
else.
think we can work some wine into that.
I can hook you up.
Make it
There
happen.
is
Make
something
it happen.
called, well, there's something called wine share
Yes, I've
or
heard of that.
something.
That's cool,
That's
too.
another
Yeah,
thing.
that's a DGA project.
Yeah, so there's lots of things to do, and a lot of people always ask that, what is there to do in Joplin? Well, there are, but you gotta get off your couch sometimes.
Yeah.
And I like my couch too, but
couch sitting.
deep couch sitting. You gotta take a break every so often.
We're going to explore Joplin, and we're natives, so we're going to get out and see what Toby has put together.
Yes, we're excited, and it's I don't know, I'm excited.
I am
I'm excited
too.
for Joplin. Joplin has a future that's growing and becoming more inclusive, more diverse. And when we say diverse, we don't mean just color. It's beyond that. So become a part of that instead of complaining. Become connected instead of complaining, and see how you can help grow it and help make it even better, and to be the Joplin you want it to be.
Absolutely. We're going to have an exciting guest next week.
Yes.
We won't keep you waiting as long this time, I promise. But it's going to probably be, wink, wink, the president of the Missouri Southern State University.
Absolutely.
I have to catch myself because I want to say MSSC.
I know. It's like, it's MSSU now.
MSSU.
But we're excited about that because we want to welcome him to Joplin and then
Absolutely.
show him some good Joplin
Colbert style.
hospitality.
Absolutely.
Colbert style. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for our guest Toby Teeter.
Thanks for having me.
And you heard it straight from him. If there's any other questions you have, any follow-up, get a hold of him on joplincc.com. And
Yeah. Or stop by.
Stop by. But be sure to tune in next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock on the Colbert Connection. Thank you.
Yeah.